looking towards Odegaard. Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant! I don't believe it! I swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Good evening. Welcome to the Rotherham United podcast live, the post-match. We will be covering a lot of stuff tonight over what will be 20 minutes or so. It will probably be bookended by some refereeing stuff. There's a polite word I've got for it at the minute. But we'll also talk about the performance as well. Some really good points to the performance, but some negative parts as well. Mick, you must not swear.
Yes, I've just put that on the bottom of the screen as a reminder because I do understand that we have probably got people listening who wouldn't appreciate it. So I'm just going to leave that there just for the moment.
Aye. So a 2-1 loss in the end. An early goal from, a goal from Ojo for Cardiff, a goal back from Crooks for us to make it 1-1, and a latish goal from Joe Bennett. It was, to take away, not something the referee a minute, mate. It was not a fluent performance from us, although the first half at times was very good.
We played a Mick McCarthy side, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, basically all his tactics are to break the game up, slow it down, and kick it as long and high as he possibly can. That is Mick McCarthy. You know, that's what he does. And they were awful. They were dreadful. There was only one winner in the game, to be fair. We were the better side by a country mile, in my view. We were the only ones wanting to play football. And yet, we sit here now with a game in hand gone and nothing to show for it. I guess we could have perhaps done a little bit better at times in possession of the ball. We could have not played into their hands and played it long quite so many times. However, it's difficult, isn't it? You know, none of us like losing, and your immediate reaction is to, when you do lose, the first reaction usually is to find somebody to blame for that. Why have we lost? Why have we lost? I wish I could point to anything other than the obvious as to why we lost that game. I wish I could point to something that we did wrong, some mistakes that we made that caused us to lose that game. And other than possibly the first goal, we didn't defend it particularly well. I'm sorry, we haven't lost that game because of what we've done.
Paul, I mean, I see what you're saying, but what I will say is that we didn't take the chances when we had them, although their keeper pulled off a couple of good saves. The worrying part, and it's not a worrying part because we won't have to deal with it again this season, but as soon as the weather changed, we didn't know what to do. Like we've never seen. Matthew Davis on Facebook says when the first time Giles had seen snow because he did look like a deer for headlights. We didn't deal with the conditions, and the conditions did not have any impact at all on the way Cardiff played, which I accept is because they were more direct. But at the same time, we've got to be able to change and be adaptable to conditions, and we just did. As soon as the snow came in, we just stopped doing the good stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, I guess we did. And I don't know why that is. And as you point out there, I guess that's not going to, hopefully, touch wood, is not going to affect us again this season, you would hope. So, they did adapt to the conditions a little bit better. I mean, their second goal was a touch quality. It was a fantastic ball and a fantastic run. Wes Harding maybe, arguably, should have tracked it. However, you know, I mean, I think the only two people that could see it ball were the bloke who crossed it and the bloke who headed it in. Everybody else could see it. You know, so it's just a quickie, by the way. Ben is not here tonight because he's having an early night because he's training at the moment to try and get into NFL college in London, and he's So he's on a very, very strict training regime. Don't tell anybody I told you that, because
okay. Okay. Yeah, but I'm sure Ben's as upset as everybody else.
He's not happy, I'll tell you.
No. Rich Hollingsworth, well, I'll come back to the first part of your comment in a minute. Bad decision taking all the Sunday off. Harden had a poor game, gave the ball away a lot, but not a deserved result. On Harden, he didn't have a best game today. His defensive stuff was all right. You could question the goal maybe, but his defensive part was fine. It was the going forward thing. He didn't quite look after the ball as well as he should, did he?
No, and he misplaced quite a lot of passes as well going forward. He didn't have a great game, to be honest. But, I mean, you can forgive him that because of the performances that he has put in the past, I suspect, I guess, up to a point. So I agree. I think we're nitpicking a little bit, but that's our job with fans, isn't it? We need to look at the bad parts as well as the good. And I don't think it was great. No, I accept that. I think all Sunday took a knock in the face, I suspect. But
yeah, go on then. So we'll start with the referee now, and we'll. So the first penalty incident was Michael Smith on the edge of the area. Any reason that you can think why the referee wouldn't have given it?
Yeah, definitely.
Apart from the fact he bottled it.
I'm reading the bottom bit at the bottom, so I'm it's just spineless, utterly and completely spineless. There's no else, is there? What else can you say? I don't. There is no other reason. There can't possibly be another reason, because he's given a foul. He's given fouls throughout the evening, and only one that I can specifically remember on Kiefer Moore in the second half. Much less contact outside the box, gives it straight away, blows up straight away, no question.
Yeah,
it's just spineless, and that's a penalty. It's a penalty all day long, and the referee can see it, and the linesman is on that side, and the linesman can see it. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all. I'm sorry, but I honestly can't get my head around it. I genuinely can't. This is not great podcast listening or great listening for anybody, because I have no explanation as to why that wasn't given. None at all.
I agree. We'll come back to the other ones in a minute. Actually, we'll try and get as much as we can. Owen mentions about Volts having a go at our players, an overall noise for this isn't. That's the way Volks plays, I suppose. Yeah. On the pitch, he's a warrior, and he'd take no prisoners. But off the pitch, he's nicest guy in the world. Yeah. That's why we're so good for Rotherham United. That's what we are, I suppose. Yeah. Philippi Flop's doing all the swearing for you, Mick. So don't worry about that.
Philip. Appreciate that, fella.
Thomas 110, Thomas Saisu. With the ref, terrible performance. On this season, refereeing, you say week in, week out that we can't get worse refereeing. I'm struggling to think of a worse one this season. You would I don't want to say this, but you may have to go back to Swansea in 2019 to go back to a worse refereeing performance from 1 to 90. I can't think of a worse one.
No, not as consistently bad throughout the whole of the game. No, I can't either.
You can accept the odd bad decision. If he made one of those penalty decisions wrong, I could sort of accept that. But when you get another one,
I'm not having that. Not that first one. I don't accept that under any circumstances.
Right. Maybe the second one was less blatant, although it was still a penalty for me.
I mean, to be fair, it was a slightly less blatant because he only used both hands, didn't he, to push him over. Yeah. He didn't use both hands and his body, so a bit more difficult to spot, I guess. But
I also thought he gave the foul against Icky. I thought it were a foul on Icky.
It was.
It was. There were two fouls.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Unquestionably. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I haven't seen the replay of the Volks handball. I'd like to see it again. At the very end, I didn't. The one replay they showed was a very poor replay.
Yeah.
I wanted it, but at the same time, if that was given again to them, I might be disappointed. So I might have a little bit of sympathy. And the referee's position is quite bad because he's got to watch the rest of the box.
Yeah.
But the other two, this will be a
inexcusable.
recurring theme. Yeah.
Absolutely inexcusable.
Will Sherwood feels we deserved a draw. They were no better side than us. We'll go against Saturday with a chance of 3 points. Minimum we deserved tonight were a draw, Mick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely. Like I said right at the beginning, they're not a good side, not a good side at all. They won't be under Mick McCarthy because that's not the way he plays, is it? You know, he's not famous for his free flowing football, is he?
No.
So
and that's not, and I don't know about you, but for me, that's not necessarily a dig. Brett said in the commentary, there's so many different ways to play football, and we've played that way in the past.
Yeah. We were accused of playing that way this season. Apparently, we've done it all season. We are capable of playing it, and we will play it, and we did play it tonight and matched them at it. But like I said, we were the only team trying to get the ball down on the floor and play football. But they're going to play to their strengths, aren't they? They're a big, strong, physical side. Bigger, stronger, and more physical than we are, in my view. So yeah, it's definitely not a dig. 100%, it's not a dig. But we are a better side.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line for me.
Yeah.
Although the result doesn't say so, does it?
No, it doesn't, because there's no.
With the argument.
Mark Gamble, evening fellas. We were done over by a diabolical referee, but we did really miss Lindsay tonight. Yeah, you're always going to miss somebody like Lindsay. I think that goes without saying, obvious, you know. But that's not to say we play well. I thought Lewis Wing had a really, really good game again. You know, he sort of set up the goal by setting Smith up to put the cross in. He just has that presence of mind, Wing, just to take that extra half a second and not rush into a pass. And the pass to Smith was to perfection, and the cross from Smith was even better. Yeah. Crooks couldn't miss, could he? So.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Will Daniels is a theme tonight. Difficult one to take. Defended poorly for the 2 goals, but we did more than enough for the point. Possibly more on another day. Shout out to Hansen for that save. We go against Saturday. What a save that were!
Yeah,
just after half time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be ultra critical, it was a poor finish, but he should never have been given the opportunity to make that save. But what a save! Absolutely. Yeah.
Completely. I love your Hansen. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I do as well.
Interestingly, I saw I can't see where it is now, where it were now, but Blackman was out of self-isolation for this game, so could have been selected.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's. I think he was out today. I think is what I saw on. I think it was Paul Davis's tweet that he came out of isolation today, so he's not going to be match fit, is he? Not match ready.
But he's a keeper though, so it's less important to be match fit, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah, but he needs to be sharp, doesn't he? And Johansson's got the shirt at the moment.
True. We'll fly through some of these comments. AK92 on YouTube. Ref scared to give anything against Big Mick. One was more nasty like Warne. I actually think we get more decisions. That's not a criticism. No, I agree with that. Yeah, if you're a bit nasty, you do get more decisions, but quite happy with the way.
Yeah, but one and one, he was in the referee here, the linesman's here, the fourth officials here, as was Richie Barker. Complete and utter waste of time. But to be fair, the players should have been in the referee's ear from that first, whatever you want to call, non-decision on Smith. From that point onwards, if I'm a player, I'm in the referee's ear every single time he gives a decision. It needs to be made. It needs to be slapped round the face to be told when he's made a bad decision. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't got a clue, has he?
No. Clearly not.
You know what I mean? You know, if you're doing your own job, and you make a mistake and you recognise that you've made a mistake, you don't then go and do the same thing wrong again and again and again. And you know what I mean? You don't do it, do you? You know you've made a mistake. Fair enough. Hold your hands up. I'll put it right next time. And then you don't. It's just utterly, I can't honestly, genuinely, I've watched football for 50 years now plus, and I still do not understand how these people get employed. I genuinely don't, because outside in the real world, I perform like that at work, I'm sacked. Unquestionably, I am sacked, and rightly so as well.
Yeah, you're right. Steve Thomas again. The officiating was a joke. Why is there no recourse? And that's been an issue for refereeing for years. There doesn't seem to be any punishment for referees, and I accept referees make bad decisions. They're only human. Everything else, and they shouldn't get abused. We've seen Mike Dean, obviously, in the Premier League made a howler and is getting threats and things like that. That's obviously not the way to do it. But at the same time, the reason fans get annoyed is because they don't see it make a difference. Referee makes a bad decision, and all the officials go, "Oh, let's move on then, shall we?"
Well,
that's not fair.
No, it's not. It's not fair. I mean, you mentioned the Will Vaulks thing in the last minute in the penalty area. The referee stood side onto that. I'm not going to argue. If he doesn't see that as an handball, he doesn't see that as an handball. Yeah. If it was, it was. If it wasn't, it wasn't. He can't see it from that angle. I accept that. I'm not going to argue. It probably was a penalty. It probably did hit him on hand. I'm sure it did. The way that the Rotherham United players reacted, every single one of them. But I'm not expecting a referee to give a decision based on players' reactions. But what is inexcusable is the other two.
Yeah,
it's clearly seen.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't say, I didn't see that.
No, exactly. Matthew Davis mentions, I think you want to mention, Mick, in the 70th minute, he gave a free kick to Cardiff. I think it was against Moore. Yes, same thing happened to Smith. And he mentions the linesman. The linesman not near side. He might as well have not been there. I don't know what to say about it. If the referee were bad, I don't think the linesman gave a decision all night.
Both of them were as bad. In the first half, the one at our end, at the Kop end, on the far side, every time he gave a decision, before he gave the decision, he looked at the referee before he made the decision. So he wasn't confident, clearly wasn't confident. And a number of offsides in that second half, I mean, I don't know. I lost count, completely and utterly lost count. You know, and if you counted the number of players that were offside during the course of that, there must have been 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah.
Because...
Owen on YouTube mentions this. It was the referee who refereed against Bournemouth, as we mentioned in the preview show, gave the penalty against Blackman for slightly touching Solanke's leg.
Yeah.
How it's the same referee. How can you give that one against Blackman, which I thought maybe was a penalty, but it could have been slightly harsh, and not give those two for Smithy and Woody? It's the same. It's the same person with the same eyes, with the same decision making. Anyway,
this could be a long podcast. This could be a long. This could be long because we're all of us, me, you, and everybody that's reacting here, going to be asking the same questions, and nobody can give an answer to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And nobody from the refereeing authorities, from the FA, from the EFL, will ever try and give an explanation as to why there's so much inconsistency, and nobody's ever going to do anything about it because it's always been the same, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. AK92, I wonder if the referee's season ticket at Hillsborough is on auto renewal. Murray in 1978 on Twitter, we definitely could have dealt with that better conditions better, but the ref has much to blame. Yeah, Chris Nichols did not deserve the defeat. Referee and linesman, where to start. On and positive, Steve Thomas on YouTube again. We have to take great heart from the performances this year. Great results and beat by multi-billion-pounds teams. I mean, we're coming up against Cardiff. Bear in mind, I know they've had a lot of changes, but these guys were in playoffs last year. And narrowly missed out getting to a playoff final. To come and be very, very disappointed to the point where we're angry about it that we didn't pick anything up is a sign of progression, but it's still incredibly difficult to take. Yeah,
it is, and it's like Ben said before. You know, when things are out of your hands, that's when it becomes difficult. When it's in your hands and you've made the mistakes and you've not performed well or you've not performed to your ability or whatever, then it's still difficult, but you can see a way out of it.
Yeah,
you can see the reasons why X, Y, or Z happened. And you can see that you can work on this, you can work on that, you can work on the other. When it's taken out of your hands completely by somebody who you should be able to trust to do their job competently, it's just that's what makes it so infuriating for me, anyway.
Yes, I completely agree. Paul M. Rotherham got out Rotherham tonight. We normally out muscle teams and win the ball back in the air and everything else, and not tonight, onwards Saturday. Yeah, when you're going to come up against a Mick McCarthy team, and normally a Warne team, or normally, but obviously not last time, they're going to be big and strong. So it takes a string away from us. But we were still the better footballing team. We were the ones that had the better chances. Certainly the first half, we were the ones that had the comfortable better chances. We just didn't keepers pulled off a good save from Smith, hadn't they? More nice of it again. If I made same as you, Mick, if I made as many mistakes as the job in my job as the referee did tonight, wouldn't have a job for very long. And this is the frustrating part of it. It'll still be refereed again on Saturday.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Philip Flop, very, very weak officials. So many offsides not given, allowed to take free kicks and throw-ins just from whenever they wanted, even in the wrong half. And put all the big decisions.
But this is the thing as well. You talk about the offsides here, right? And all right. So the ball comes over the top. There's a player offside. It gets cleared. So he doesn't put his flag up. But the ball then comes straight back in again.
Yeah.
If he put his flag up, we would still be in position. We would then be in possession of the ball because it was offside. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening time and time again. We're delaying putting the flag up, and we're still under pressure all this time when we could have been playing the ball out front back with a free kick. And it's bizarre. That's obviously some sort of ruling by.
It's the offside rule. It's to help with VAR, I think. But there's no VAR. Well, exactly. But it has to be the same rule from top to bottom, doesn't it?
It has to be VAR from top to bottom then.
I agree. In 98, you could talk about how bad the refereeing was, but it was bad for both sides. Both sides should have had a penalty. Many decisions went against both sides. I don't know where Cardiff should have had a penalty. I'm happy to be corrected. The ball hit Barlaser in the first half in the penalty area, but it was like a yard away from the player. So that could never have been given as a penalty, and that's why it wasn't given as a penalty. And to be fair, the Cardiff players didn't even appeal for that one. If there were any other bad decisions against Cardiff, I genuinely can't remember any of them.
No, I can't either.
It was inconsistency, but the big decisions were against. We sound like proper victims, don't we? But they were against us. That's football.
I'm going to go and stand my feet and throw my head out and everything else. But yeah, I don't remember. But listen, I might be looking through Rotherham United coloured glasses. You know what I mean? But I didn't see him. I didn't see him.
No.
So,
Ann Thompson, when Warne and Co watch it back tomorrow, a complaint ought to be put in about the referee and linesman that cost us a game. Yeah, they do. I've once talked about this before. I can't remember what game it was. It may have been Huddersfield in the Cup a few years ago, away from home, where the referee made a decision. I think when a goal disallowed when it shouldn't have been disallowed, and the referee called in the day after, basically said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake." Well, that's great, but at that point, you're at a cup competition. Tonight, we've lost what could have been 3 points. If we got both penalties at the times with the penalties could have been given, that just puts 2-1 up going into half time. So it completely throws the game on its head. So, yeah, anyway.
An apology is no good. An apology is no good to anybody. You know, and this is the issue with it. You can't replay the game. You can't, you know what I mean? The decision that's made at the time is a decision that's made at the time, which is why there's no complaint about that from me about the handball claim at the end of the game. But it's obvious decisions. It's clear, simple, not difficult decisions at all.
Yeah.
So I'm repeating myself. Sure, man.
Just to cheer everybody up, if anybody's not on Twitter, Paul Davis has just tweeted about Jamie Lindsay. 8 weeks for Jamie Lindsay, according to Paul Davis on Twitter. So if you thought tonight was bad, losing 2-1, just lost Jamie Lindsay for near on the rest of the season. Obviously, we'll be back for a few weeks after, but that's a massive blow. That thankfully we got some reinforcements in, and thankfully Sadler has been back for, which will help. Yeah. But there's nobody quite like Jamie Lindsay. in that team.
But it is a blow. But we have got some strength in depth now, which we didn't have 3 or 4 weeks ago. So
yeah. Jason Wick, costly from Harding, poor defending. And on that, Lee McGarry thought the defence was a bit poor tonight. We were lucky not to have the officials because they were very, very poor. And Paul M, on a similar topic, probably the first time the wing-backs have struggled. Sunday didn't see the ball well enough. Harding's second half was probably his worst in a Miller's shirt. And Giles was much better going forward. Giles didn't have any impact today. We're going to give benefit and doubt and so the conditions just didn't help. He likes to get the ball at his feet and be in control of the ball and then go. He couldn't get that control, which I assume was because of the conditions, which is a shame.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's how it is. One from Chris Wright as well. One day, lads. One day we're going to get a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
you think? Hold my breath.
I'm knocking on a bit now. I don't know whether I can wait much longer.
Yeah. It's frustrating because we played well today. Played all right. Certainly first half we should have been ahead. There's some bright spots. I think Lewis had a really good game. Barley's looked off the ball pretty well. Clark Robertson, out of the defensive three, Clark Robertson had the best game of the three again, which is really, really encouraging. Smith and Crooks. Smith looked an absolute handful all night. Smith were really, really good. He just couldn't. He himself couldn't hit the back of the net, but at the same time, he's got another assist for Crooks. Yeah,
absolutely. He was quite a handful. I mean, he asked that defender from first half. It took him both ends to pick him up and throw him offload, didn't it? So,
it is.
I'm never
I don't know. Do you know when it's one of them games that I'm not sure whether I would have preferred to be at the stadium, because if I was at the stadium, I think I might have been more angry.
Yeah,
I'd have no voice left, obviously, for calling referee every game under the sun. Maybe being at home where I can't lose my voice too much is maybe a better thing for once.
Yeah, possibly. It's just a tweet just come from Paul Davis from a quote from Paul Warne, who's very, very critical of the referee, very openly critical of the referee, so saying how anybody can't see that's a push is beyond me. So that might be a fine for Warne, potentially, because they don't like being criticised in public, do they? Which makes it makes the whole thing worse.
It does, and we say this a lot, and for people outside of Rotherham United, it might not mean anything, but it's really not like Warne to lay into a referee. He doesn't do that lightly.
No, he doesn't do it.
No, he doesn't. No, not in the press anyway. He obviously does on sideline, which is fair enough. But
I've never heard him that I can recall mentioning anything negative about a referee's performance in public. So
no,
or in the press anyway.
So cool. We are going to end it there because Mick's going to go have a large whiskey in a dark room. Thank you all for watching, getting involved. Thanks for the comments. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, because there'll be more stuff over there. We're creeping up to 125 subscribers at the minute. So if you can help us get above that mark, and then we'll gradually move on. There'll be some changes coming up towards the end of the season from basically in the way we run things and the name of it and things like that. But I'm sure people are interested in that for now, but that will change. The podcast will be out Friday, and I'm pretty certain Ben will be back for that one.
He will, definitely.
That's good for all you Ben fans out there. He'll be back for that.
I noticed watching numbers has gone down actually as soon as they realised Ben weren't here. They were up to
it went down
to about 10 now. So
finish off Philip up, Bill lads, and Chris Wright. Hey ho, onwards the middle of Saturday. It's not a huge game, but it's a big game in terms of the season. So that was the case. So we are back on Friday morning for the podcast as per usual, and we'll be doing certainly a post game on Saturday, potentially pretty much. That may be something we'll look to change as well. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and subscribe on YouTube, but also subscribe to the podcast for the podcast stuff that comes out as well. Thank you, Mick. I hope you get some sleep tonight.
I don't know. I might.
Cheers, guys, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
Pringle looking towards Odegaard. Ravel, ambitious.